In this video, we have an epic new interview with Elon Musk. For once, an interview that covers new ground that doesn't ask the same questions that Elon's responded to a trillion times over. Elon Musk discusses Tesla's artificial intelligence efforts. Elon also explains why nobody can catch Tesla or SpaceX, has a little bit of advice for Jeff Bezos, explains why he continues to taunt regulators, and Elon also receives some glowing praise from titans of industry. Oh, and I almost forgot, Elon Musk has received yet another accolade. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. Elon Musk. Interview with Financial Times Person of the Year. By the way, just to be clear, this isn't the Time Person of the Year. Elon Musk has also been named Financial Times Person of the Year. The controversial Tesla chief executive, just have to make a correction here. Elon, no longer the CEO of Tesla, he is now officially the techno king of Tesla. Dear media, please get it right. Has triggered a historic shift in the auto industry towards electric vehicles. Elon Musk says he wants to be generous with his critics, but after years of battling an army of doubters in the rest of the auto industry and on Wall Street, the Tesla chief executive, you know what, I'm going to start correcting this. The techno king of Tesla's frustration is hard to contain. It is almost a decade since his company's Model S proved that electric cars could compete with the best on style and performance, and 4 years since its Model 3 brought the technology to a wider market. Over those years, Musk has not only had to build a market for electric vehicles almost single-handedly. This is a really fair and important point. We've now finally reached a tipping point where everybody knows electric vehicles are the future, well, save a few moronic exceptions in legacy auto. But in the preceding decade, everybody laughed at the very idea that Tesla was even attempting to do this. And now in hindsight, it always seemed like it was inevitable. While fighting off bankruptcy, he has also waged a running battle with short sellers on Wall Street and started spats with regulators. This year has brought a measure of vindication as companies ranging from Ford to Volkswagen to Mercedes-Benz unequivocally committed their futures to electric vehicles. Toyota, astonishingly, became the latest on Tuesday, announcing a $35 billion investment into building EVs. Quote, "For a long time, the rest of the auto industry was basically calling Tesla and me fools and frauds," Musk said in an interview with the Financial Times. Quote, "They were saying electric cars wouldn't work. You can't achieve the range and performance, and even if you did, nobody would buy them." Just want to take a quick interlude here. This was 4 IQ thinking at the time. It was obvious. The data was already available showing the predictable cost declines of lithium-ion batteries. It was also obvious to anyone with a functioning brain who actually sat down and took the time to think a little bit, even if it hurt, that given the fact that electric vehicles were a new technology being produced at a very low volume, as volumes increased, costs would come down, not only as a result of economies of scale, but as a result of maturing technology and new techniques for manufacturing these products with far fewer parts than an internal combustion engine vehicle. Again, if your brain works and you think, less stuff goes in, and it's not a mature technology, and the battery costs are predictably declining, these things are going to keep getting cheaper until some point in the future they're cheaper to purchase than an ICE vehicle, and then a few years after that they're much cheaper, and then a few years after that they're even cheaper than that. This is why it just blows my fucking mind that these morons in legacy auto didn't even take the time to think. And now, after Tesla's demonstrated what was evident 10, 15 plus years ago, that EV costs would come down, especially as they continue to grow in scale, suddenly now all of these Muppets are panicking and urgently rushing to transition to EVs. And as I've said a trillion times, for most legacy automotive manufacturers, it's now too late. Musk believes climate change activists help to nudge car makers toward more sustainable technology, but he claims there is one overriding reason they are finally ready to go electric. Quote, "Until we started taking market share from them in a meaningful way, they didn't react." Absolutely spot on. Again, absolutely spot on. Once again, I want to emphasize, it was obvious what would happen with EVs in the future as they were produced at larger scales. Costs come down, they become more competitive. Again, I mean, how much of a moron do you need to be the CEO or an executive in a legacy automotive manufacturing company, to be aware of this company, and to fail to even look into the economics of producing these things? This is Olympic gold medal level idiocy, honestly. As the saying goes, money talks. And now that Tesla is eating the lunch of legacy automotive manufacturers, they're now panicking, urgently rushing to transition to electric vehicles. But the majority of these companies are already too late. And in the best case scenario, 10 years' time, the likes of Volkswagen, General Motors, Ford and Toyota, some of which were producing 10 plus million vehicles in a single year, will be lucky to be producing maybe 10 or 20% of those volumes. And what company will be filling the majority of that void? Tesla. Can you guys tell that poor decision making really triggers me? He is far from alone in that view. Bob Lutz, a former vice chair of General Motors and president of Chrysler, who was once doubtful about Tesla's chances of survival. Doubtful is a massive understatement. If you're a long-term viewer of this channel, you'll have seen many of my reaction videos to some of the comments from Lutz. In essence, he said Elon's crazy, Tesla are doomed, the company's going bankrupt, wouldn't touch it with a 1,000-foot pole. But Lutz now calls Musk's impact on the auto industry, quote, unbelievable, nothing short of incredible. And I have to give credit to Bob Lutz here. It's great to see him change his mind and acknowledge not only was he wrong, but go from one end of the spectrum, Tesla's absolutely doomed, to what they've done is absolutely incredible. If only more people were so easily capable of changing their mind. Pointing to the inroads it has made in even Europe's luxury car markets, Lutz says, quote, this is why Mercedes-Benz and BMW are so afraid of him. Elon Musk has been everywhere this year, and not only in ways that marks him out as one of the most consequential, if controversial, business figures of recent times. Armed with 66.3 million followers. And just for context, when I started this channel, Elon's follower count was a little over 25, maybe 30 million people just over 2 years ago. He's pretty much doubled his Twitter following in just 2 years. I wonder what it's going to look like in 2023. He has used his hyperactive Twitter account to promote Dogecoin, a cryptocurrency that initially started as a joke, and whose name is homage to an internet meme featuring a Shiba Inu dog. He has also continued his goading of regulators, including the SEC, despite paying a $20 million fine in 2018 after the securities regulator accused him of committing securities fraud with his tweets. And here's a quote from Elon Musk regarding his spat with regulators. Quote, it's certainly possible for some asshole to compile the handful of times that I've disagreed with regulations, write a story and make it sound as though I'm some madman shooting from the hip. At no point am I suggesting that any regulatory agency be disbanded. I'm not some sort of madcap libertarian. Although almost 800,000 Americans have died of the virus, Musk, who turned 50 this year, has spent the pandemic sniping at COVID restrictions. Rightfully so. Don't get me started. And at the politicians who have accused him of not paying enough tax. As if paying more tax in a single year than any other human in the history of the United States wasn't paying enough. Even some of his biggest supporters acknowledge a whiff of hype around Tesla. In the midst of a stock market boom, its valuation smashed through the $1 trillion barrier this year, making Musk the world's richest person. Which personally I think is completely fair given the fact that he's MVP of Earth. Just saying. Despite shipping fewer than 2% of the world's new cars and trucks. Yet behind the noise, the speculative frenzy, and the apparent flouting of rules, there is an achievement of great substance. The Financial Times is naming Elon Musk its Person of the Year because he has triggered a historic shift in the world's auto industry towards electric vehicles. Now, if you don't recall, Tesla's mission statement from day one, more than a decade and a half ago, was to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Mission accomplished, although there's still work to do. Even if Tesla were to somehow collapse next year, something that, unlike 2 years ago, no one is now predicting, Musk would have transformed one of the world's most important industries in ways that could have profound implications for governments, investors, and for the climate. In an era often defined by new technology, Musk is staking a claim to be the most genuinely innovative entrepreneur of his generation. Spoiler alert. He's not staking a claim, he is. There's no question about this. Some people are a little bit slow to figure it out, but this is already an accurate description of Elon Musk. No one else comes close. He may not be the world's smartest human, although he's up there, but he is absolutely, unquestionably, the world's most effective engineer. You may argue that there's other engineers who are a little bit better than Elon Musk at this, that, or the other, but when you look at the track record and the actual accomplishments, not just the ideas and the abilities, but the execution, Elon Musk is untouchable. The result of Musk's unusual brand of risk-taking and boundary pushing have not been limited to cars. His private company, SpaceX, brought human spaceflight back to US soil last year for the first time since the space shuttle. Its Starlink network is closing in on the launch of the world's first commercial satellite broadband service. And a giant new rocket that could change the economics of getting to orbit, dubbed Spaceship, is awaiting its first test launch. Musk can sometimes sound tongue-tied and stumble over ideas before throwing out sweeping pronouncements. often about the future and about how technology will reshape it. His declarations are presented as brazen statements of fact, as though daring the listener to challenge him. I think this is a fair point. This is what happens when you have a gigantic brain and you actually apply that brain to thinking deeply about problems, using first principles, and draw your conclusions. Elon Musk doesn't make these statements, for example, people using LiDAR are doomed, specifically to dare people to challenge him. He makes these statements because he knows he is right. Most people don't know how to think. A, it hurts too much, B, it's too much work, and C, they don't have a good framework for thinking about problems in the first place. Elon does. And so when Elon makes these audacious sounding claims, it's because he's applied first principles and thought deeply and thoroughly about something and knows what the he's talking about. And that being said, of course it's possible people can make mistakes even if they thought about things thoroughly, but this will only occur when either new information presents itself or information that was already available wasn't actually considered. This doesn't mean the thinking methodology is flawed, it just means that nobody's perfect. I'm willing to bet on 99% of topics, Elon Musk is absolutely spot on. To admirers, it makes him a visionary, unbound by the mental constraints that limit other business people. But to critics, who hate themselves, he embodies a blinkered technocratic arrogance that blithely disregards its impact on the world. So does Musk think the stated goal he set for Tesla more than 15 years ago to lead a transport revolution has finally been achieved? Quote, "I'm quite encouraged by at least what they, other automakers, are saying. At least we have the talk." This is an important distinction here. At the moment, legacy auto, all talk, no walk. This is very important, especially for some of the brain-dead investors out there who, as soon as a legacy auto company says, "Hey, we're going all in on EVs," but isn't actually producing compelling, profitable electric vehicles at scale, suddenly decides they're going to buy their stock because now they're an EV company. Let's move on. Quote, "We did Tesla essentially out of desperation, not because we thought it would be lucrative, but just to show that it could be done," he adds. Maybe so, but it has had spectacular financial results. After struggling for years to prove it could be financially viable, Tesla's profit margins have turned out to be surprisingly robust, and plenty of investors have been willing to bet that it will lead to a big new global industry of electric autonomous vehicles. Guilty as charged. Literally all in on Tesla stock, so definitely betting on this future. At a time when technologists and billionaires have become objects of growing populist mistrust, Musk has plenty of critics, but still enjoys a higher level of public approval than many. That may partly be because his personal brand has become so intertwined with a popular culture influenced by memes and gaming. Musk thinks it is because of the aspirations that his products aim to satisfy. Quote, "I'm just trying to get people to Mars and enable freedom of information with Starlink." By the way, I think most people are significantly underestimating the positive impact Starlink is going to have. Roughly half of the world's population today does not have internet access. The goal of Starlink is to blanket every square inch of planet Earth with fast, reliable broadband access, and with that comes access to information. Information is what enables people to lift themselves out of poverty. Think about the mountain villages, people living deep in the jungle, those in extremely remote, isolated areas who currently have no access to information, no access to the internet. Think about what a difference it will make in their local communities when they can access information, educate themselves, and apply what they've learned. This is a game changer. Accelerate sustainable technology with Tesla and free people from the drudgery of driving, he says. Quote, "It's certainly possible that the road to hell to some degree is paved with good intentions, but the road to hell is mostly paved with bad intentions. Are you not entertained?" His pushing of boundaries and courting of controversy have landed him in trouble. Tesla is under investigation by US transport and securities regulators into the safety of its driver assistance technology and whether it hid fire risks from its solar panels. Musk's outspokenness on Twitter brought one regulatory complaint that forced him to give up his chairmanship of Tesla, while his trolling of critics and taunting of regulators have warmed the patience even of many of his admirers. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Elon Musk has a very strong sense of justice, and he will always speak up when he sees an injustice taking place, whether it's relating to himself or any of his companies. Elon has very important missions to accomplish. For example, if a media outlet is spreading disinformation about Tesla, SpaceX, or Elon Musk, he is well within his right not only to correct that misinformation, but to simultaneously tell them to go fuck themselves, in my opinion. If people are having their freedoms unconstitutionally raised, Elon is well within his rights to speak for those who don't have a voice. And he did. If Elon believes regulators are not actually doing an effective job, he is well within his rights to share these thoughts. Having opinions and sharing them is okay. Of course, many people would rather Elon just stays in his little box. I get some of the same flack on this YouTube channel every time I wander out of my lane, shit on the woke mob, point out that President Biden is corrupt and incompetent. every time I shit on creationists, every time I point out that men and women are different, there's always a few people in the comments who get so triggered that I shared my opinion. Unsubscribe, man. Stop talking. I just came in for Tesla, bro. Fuck you. So I can really relate to where Elon's coming from here. If something needs to be said, I will say it. Elon is the same. I admire and respect this in other people. This is the embodiment of confidence and courage. And in my worldview, the opposite is also true. When something matters to somebody, there's something very important to this person, but they don't speak up because they're concerned, they're going to ruffle some feathers, they'll annoy some people, there's going to be some butthurt, melted snowflakes, etc. This is the embodiment of cowardice. Think about it like this. If somebody's being bullied, whether it's by a media outlet, a regulator, etc. And by the very definition of bullied, we're talking about unreasonable attacks directed towards somebody, unjust attacks. If this person cowers and doesn't fight back, this is giving permission to the bully to continue. And this is often what happens. Bullies tend to prey on weak people. But fight back, just once, and you're likely to find that this bully will now choose somebody else to pick on, who doesn't have the balls to stand up for themselves. So it's understandable the way that Elon Musk reacts to unfair criticism. He's fighting back against these bullies. I admire and respect that. And personally, I think those who want to silence Elon Musk's opinions don't think that it's reasonable for him to fight back when there's unjust criticism leveled at Elon, Tesla, etc. are feeble, weak human beings projecting their own insecurities onto Elon Musk and feeling bad because he has the courage and the balls to stand up to bullies and they don't. Something to think about. Here's a great quote from Elon on Jeff Bezos. "In some ways, I'm trying to goad him into spending more time at Blue Origin so they make more progress. As a friend of mine says, he should spend more time at Blue Origin and less time in the hot tub." I hate to say it, but Elon's friend has a point here. It appears, and I could be wrong here, but I'm probably not, that Jeff Bezos is now having a midlife crisis. He's dating a crazy, and I mean literally crazy, predatory alpha female who has him under her thumb. I've discussed this in more detail on Patreon. Check out the card in the corner or link below if you're not already signed up. And I think from a business point of view, Jeff is now not thinking clearly. If the mission of Blue Origin was truly a priority, they would be making more progress. At times, while hurling insults from the safety of his Twitter account, Musk can seem petty and vindictive. The nadir came in 2018 when he dismissed a critic as pedo guy, leading to a damages claim in a 4-hour court appearance to argue that he hadn't intended a literal accusation of a fondness for young children. Quote, "He's like President Trump. He did a lot of good things, but he should have kept his mouth shut and stayed off Twitter," says Lutz. I understand where Lutz is coming from here. He's thinking business, branding, blah, 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 but I completely disagree with this, okay? As my merch design says, let Elon. People are packages. You don't get to pick and choose the parts of the package, right? You get the whole thing. Elon is a package. Elon's Elonness comes in the package. And check out the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment if you'd like your own Let Elon merch, shirts, hoodies, mugs, phone cases, long sleeves, and loads more. Asked why he publicly goads regulators, Musk hits out at what he claims has been a failure by the US Securities and Exchange Commission to protect investors from short sellers. Of the National Transport Safety Board, he says, quote, "I felt they pursued press headlines over real safety. That's obviously something I do not respect, nor should be respected." But he denies any disdain for regulation itself. Quote, "It's certainly possible for some asshole to compile the handful of times that I've disagreed with regulations, write a story, and make it sound as though I'm some madman shooting from the hip," he adds. Quote, "At no point am I suggesting that any regulatory agency be disbanded or anything like that. I'm not some sort of madcap libertarian." Now, Elon does have a point here. I am about to lay a gigantic cable over an entire industry. There are a few exceptions, but the vast majority of journalists today are piles of human excrement. I know this is an extremely offensive but accurate thing to say. Clicks, drama, fear, uncertainty, and doubt take priority over information, accuracy, and integrity. And Elon Musk is low-hanging fruit. The world's wealthiest person. Controversial, different, weird. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of vulture-like journalists constantly circling around Elon's Twitter feed, every interview that he ever does, waiting to find a line that they can take out of context and paint him as a villain. We see this over and over and over. And due to the fact that the bell curve is real and there's enough morons out there who actually look to the mainstream media as sources of information, sadly, sources for opinions and belief as well, there are innumerable people out there who have a venomous, vitriolic hate towards Elon Musk, not because they know who he is as a person, but because they gobble up all of this BS in the mainstream media. It's quite a shame. And this is one of my all-time favorite Elon Musk tweets. SEC, 3-letter acronym. Middle word is Elon's. And if you're a little bit slow, it starts with suck and ends with Elon's cock, as opposed to the Securities and Exchange Commission, or as Elon has also referred to them, the Short Seller Enrichment Commission. And the reason for this criticism, this taunting of the SEC by Elon Musk, is because they do not do their job. I really mean that. What is the purpose of the SEC? The US Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, is a large, independent agency of the United States federal government created in the aftermath of the Wall Street crash in 1929. The primary purpose of the SEC is to enforce the law against market manipulation. Now, I know this may come as a surprise to a few people watching, but the SEC doesn't do a very good job of preventing market manipulation. If you guys are unfamiliar with how this works, check out the card in the corner to watch Jim Cramer himself explaining exactly how hedge funds manipulate stock prices. This is an astonishing admission from Cramer. This was published on an obscure website maybe 15 plus years ago. I don't think Cramer realized how big the internet would be and the fact that anything published would never be forgotten. But he lays out a detailed plan of exactly how he and other hedge funds manipulate stock prices by spreading FUD. I'm not going to explain in detail how this is done, but the point is this. The stock market is manipulated on a daily, in fact, more than daily basis. This is one of the core ways that many, not all, but many hedge funds make their money. Yet the SEC does absolutely nothing. They're failing at their mission. This is why Elon does not respect the SEC, because they don't do their fucking job. So, is Musk's bad boy Twitter persona part of some elaborate marketing plan? A case of letting off steam, or a display of unrestrained id? He laughs at the question, borrowing a line from the movie Gladiator. He asks, quote, "I mean, are you not entertained?" Before adding, quote, "I'm not saying I don't make foolish tweets. Of course I do. There are times when I shoot myself in the foot, but you know, on balance it's entertaining and interesting, informative, whatever." One result of Musk's antics has been to make Tesla a well-known brand without a single dollar spent on advertising, says Simon Sproul, a former head of marketing and communications at the company. Quote, "He's torn up the rulebook for how CEOs are meant to behave, in the process becoming almost a counterculture figure and reaching people who would normally have no interest in cars or space," he adds. This is one of the things that I personally believe triggers a lot of cowardly, weak people. They see Elon Musk not conforming to the CEO template, he's not fitting in the box he's supposed to, and it makes them feel insecure about themselves, because they couldn't possibly do that. They'd be too concerned about being judged by people or ruffling feathers. An engineer at heart. Musk's impact on the global auto industry has been a long time coming. After an early success as one of the founders of PayPal, the South African-born serial entrepreneur first invested in Tesla and became its chair in 2004, soon after it was set up. Before Tesla, Lutz says GM's engineers steadfastly refused to even believe that the kind of lithium-ion batteries used in laptop computers could produce enough power to drive a car. Tesla's first car, the Roadster, was enough to finally persuade them, he adds, leading directly to the Chevy Volt Hybrid a decade ago. But GM didn't follow through. Unfortunately, I don't think the corrupt president of the United States has yet got the memo, claiming that GM are leading the way, transitioning the entire industry to EVs. Daimler and Toyota also seemed to catch an early glimpse of the electric future that was dawning, partnering with Tesla just ahead of its 2010 stock market listing, aka the IPO, to use its electric drivetrain technology while providing much needed injections of cash. The alliances did not last. Quote, "They were not taking electric vehicles seriously, and it just became clear that they just wanted to do the least number of electric vehicles that they thought were necessary to meet regulatory requirements," Musk said. Proving that electric cars could be profitable meant overturning just about every piece of accepted wisdom in the industry, from the way supply chains work to how to reach consumers, says Pierre Ferragu, an analyst at New Street Research. Shout out to Pierre. At every turn, quote, "He was told, 'This is not true,' and 'that can't be done.' He has never given up," he says. Laurie Yola, an early Tesla board member, also credits Musk with having the vision to start with a clean sheet of paper and the doggedness to see it through. Quote, "He's not scared of people saying he's crazy," she says. This is called balls. Quote, "A lot of people say they're thinking from first principles, but they're just being incremental. He really looks at the biggest idea." Musk's own explanation for Tesla's success turns on his passion for engineering. By the way, the best quote of the entire article is coming up in just a moment. Quote, "The thing that people who don't work with me don't understand is that I'm first and foremost an engineer," he says. Quote, "How have Tesla and SpaceX succeeded when other companies have far more resources and money than I do? The problem is they can't hire me." Never a truer statement has been spoken. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes from Elon Musk, because it is so fucking true. By the way, shout out to the self-hating basement-dwelling adult versions of Tesla Q who consistently claim that Elon Musk isn't an engineer. He's literally one of the world's best, and he has a track record to prove it. He also says a dedication to engineering excellence and focus on important challenges has been critical to attracting top engineering talent. When you go after the hardest problem in the world, the best people in the world want to come and work for you, says Gene Berdichevsky, a former Tesla battery executive. Quote, for a full decade, Tesla was the only game in town. Musk says he spends 7 days and 80 to 90 hours a week bouncing between the most critical projects at Tesla and SpaceX. Quote, it's not like I arbitrarily try to micromanage, he says. I am actually involved in triage. What is the most useful thing that I can do? And I'm very good at technology and engineering. Everyone's got their talents. That's one of mine. I can't sing or dance, but I can do that. The best part about this is that we've seen Elon both dance and heard Elon sing. The guy literally gives no fucks. He knows what he's good at, he knows what he sucks at, and he doesn't let that stop him. Despite the wealth and the $13 billion worth of Tesla stock he's cashed in over the past month, Musk says he doesn't own a house or boat or go on vacation. Quote, I don't think there's a lot of people who would actually want to trade places, he says. Let me know in the comments if anyone watching would like to trade places with Elon Musk. There's no fucking way I would. I aim to work as long as I'm able to work and be productive and contribute. That is my nature. I would like to work a little bit less, and that would be nice. Days after saying this, a Musk tweet in which he said he was, quote, thinking of quitting my jobs turned heads on Wall Street. Was it just another Musk provocation or something to be taken seriously? I'll tell you what it was. This was a do you understand Elon Musk test. Nobody who understands Elon Musk would have taken this seriously, yet there were headlines written about Elon considering quitting his jobs. The full tweet was something along the lines of thinking of quitting my jobs to become a full-time influencer. What do you think? Obviously a joke. The guy's been working relentlessly for the last decade and a half, 80 plus hours a week, 7 days a week, trying to accomplish 2 extremely important missions that aren't done yet. Of course he's not going to stop now. Quote, unfortunately, people take him literally and don't realize when he's facetious, says Yola. She says that people who don't know him often don't realize what a, quote, great sense of humor he has. She adds, though, that sometimes his tweets look like the product of exhaustion and too little sleep. Now a quote on SpaceX's plans for a reusable launch vehicle. I am confident we don't need new physics, but it is just a staggeringly difficult technical problem. I sometimes wonder, is it actually within the ability of humans to do this? Musk's full-on management style and the pressures he puts on staff to race at problems have their downsides. People who have worked with him describe how he can sow confusion and chaos. A former supply chain executive says that the high staff turnover that resulted from Musk's management style meant that with every new model, Tesla had to relearn the same lessons again. Another former executive says that Musk often makes snap decisions to throw engineering teams at new problems, only to later reverse course and undo all the work. Complaints like these are besides the point, says Ferragu. Even though Musk gets many things wrong, he says, constantly pressing against the boundaries of what is possible means he will get to important breakthroughs before anyone else. He, quote, knows where the bottlenecks are and where he has to push people to the maximum. Musk suggests that this is one quality that separates him from Jeff Bezos, whose own space company, Sioux Origin, has fallen behind SpaceX. He damns his rival with faint praise, giving a nod to Bezos's, quote, reasonably good engineering aptitude before adding, but he does not seem to be willing to spend the mental energy getting into the details of engineering. The devil's in the details. Bezos, quote, does take himself a bit too seriously, Musk adds, his mischievous side never far from the surface. Quote, in some ways, I'm trying to goad him into spending more time at Sioux Origin so they make more progress. As a friend of mine says, he should spend more time at Sioux Origin and less time in the hot tub. As I said before, it seems that poor Jeffrey Bezos is hypnotized by Lauren Dirty Sanchez, who's a complete Fruit Loop, by the way. And if you're unsure why I'm leveling such accusations at Lauren, who I've never met, it may be worth considering that she was sharing intimate exchanges between her and Jeff Bezos while they were having an affair and Jeff was still a married man. So Dirty Sanchez is sharing these lewd, intimate exchanges between her and Jeff Bezos with her fucking brother. Her brother then takes this stuff to the media, tries to sell it for a massive payday. Talk about coming from a broken home. Failure to launch? Pushing the boundaries of what is technically possible means that Musk companies are always flirting with disaster, even now. Tesla is in the midst of trying to bring a challenging new battery technology into production, and the company has failed to meet its plans for launching a large electric truck, a new model of its original Roadster, and the Cybertruck electric pickup truck. There are also the supremely difficult technical challenges that appear to cause even Musk to doubt himself at times, including building the fully reusable Starship and perfecting the autonomous driving technology, which Musk has claimed for years is just around the corner. These, he says, are 2 things that take up, quote, the most amount of cognitive load in his life. Here's an extremely insightful and important quote from Elon Musk regarding autonomous vehicles. We'll discuss this more in just a moment. Quote, I didn't think we would have to solve a significant part of artificial intelligence to make it work. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. I'm 99.9%, rounded up to 100% confident full self-driving will work. It's just a question of when. I just want to emphasize something that Elon Musk said here. I've been calling this for a long time. In fact, I made a video specifically on this topic in the wake of Tesla's AI Day. I didn't think we would have to solve a significant part of artificial intelligence to make it work. Tesla is developing artificial general intelligence. This wasn't always the plan, but as Elon points out here, needing to solve a significant part of artificial intelligence has now created the building block for AGI in the future. The first step, solve vision, recognition, planning and actions in Tesla vehicles for fully autonomous driving. Then, take that same core artificial intelligence, put it in the Tesla humanoid robot, continue to scale and learn and expand its capabilities, and ultimately develop AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. No one sees this coming. No one's thinking about this. This is one of the most important and valuable things hidden within Tesla's business. The value of this technology is absolutely unfathomable. And now I'm sleeping a little bit better at night knowing that of all the companies that could be developing AGI, not only is Tesla doing so, but they have a massive lead. This bodes well for the future of humanity. Recently, he has been trying to prepare SpaceX's workers for a difficult road ahead, writing to staff that its future is not assured. Many at the company have never lived through a failed rocket launch, he says, and he outlines how the company could get into financial difficulty should SpaceX fail to produce the engines needed to meet its Starship launch plans and put enough Starlink satellites into orbit. Quote, bankruptcy is not out of the question, Musk says, so we should not be complacent or entitled. On the challenge of autonomous driving, meanwhile, he gets close to conceding that some of his own earlier confidence was misplaced. Quote, I didn't think we would have to solve a significant part of artificial intelligence to make it work, but he adds that he is now 99.9% rounded up to 100% confident full self-driving will work. It's just a question of when. To critics, Musk's misplaced assurances over the years that Tesla's cars are on the brink of becoming fully autonomous are symptomatic of an executive who is prone to overstating his vehicle's capabilities. This criticism is unwarranted, unfair, and unreasonable. The fact that Elon Musk is very optimistic about timelines is one thing. Suggesting that he's misled and overstated existing capabilities of their technology is another matter. Conflating these two is a big mistake. Elon has never overstated the capabilities of any of Tesla's products. But as we know, he does tend to be a little bit optimistic around timelines. So, has he misled Tesla's customers about self-driving technology at a potential risk to their safety? Quote, I haven't, he says flatly. Read what it says when you order a Tesla. Good point, Elon. Read what it says when you turn it on. It's very, very clear. Bingo, I've said this 1 trillion times. Pointing to Tesla's high safety ratings, literally the highest of any vehicles ever tested, S3, X and Y hold the number 1, 2, 3 and 4 spots for the safest vehicles ever tested. Just saying. And NASA's willingness to entrust its astronauts to SpaceX's rockets, he adds, quote, I don't think there's a CEO on this planet that cares more about safety than me. He's right. And the crazy thing is there's so many people in the general public, again, people who look to the mainstream media, the fake news as sources of information, who've read a few hit pieces on Tesla and Elon Musk, seen him painted as a villain who puts profits over safety, and think the complete opposite. From day one, Tesla's number one priority has always been safety. It's astonishing that not everybody understands this. He also bristles at criticism that his forecasts have sometimes turned out to be overly optimistic. Quote, the predictions that I make that come true or are ahead of time don't get attention. This is a very fair point. And the predictions that I make that are late get a lot of attention. As examples of the former, he says the company's giant battery plant in Nevada, quote, far exceeded expectations, and that Tesla's production of the Model S reached more than double what it projected at the time of its IPO. But that doesn't make an exciting headline, does it? A mark of Musk's success is that real competition, using the term very loosely, is finally emerging in electric vehicles. Rival startup Rivian has already launched its own electric pickup, and Ford is set to launch an electric version of its F-150 in the spring. Musk sounds unconcerned about the new competition, which is fair enough because they don't stand a fucking chance, and predicts that companies such as Volkswagen and Ford will succeed with electric cars. And as regular viewers of this channel will have heard me say, I think of all the legacy automotive manufacturers, the two least likely to go bankrupt, it doesn't mean they're not going bankrupt, but the two least likely are Volkswagen and Ford. One of the leading indicators, they're finally acknowledging publicly that they need to catch up to Tesla and they can learn from Tesla. Everyone else is still in la la land. Though he warns that Rivian is facing the same painful make or break effort to reach large scale production that Tesla itself went through. But please, don't tell any of the clowns buying Rivian stock at $100+ billion valuation. Production is easy. Further out though, he points to a new challenge that is building for the world's auto companies. Quote, I think people are somewhat oblivious to just how much progress China is making. It's incredible. He compares it to, quote, the wave of Japanese imports that happened in the 1980s and 90s. I think we will see something similar with the Chinese car companies. I agree, Elon's right. Sandy Munro has also pointed this out. There will be a tsunami of affordable, reliable electric vehicles coming to the US and Europe and many other parts of the world out of China. Quote, the work ethic, just the sheer number of hard-working, smart people in China is a wonder to behold. Both amazing and slightly scary. And they're going to get things done. And that concludes this fantastic article from the Financial Times, not only naming Elon Musk the Financial Times Person of the Year, in the same week that Time magazine announced Elon Musk as the Time Person of the Year, but some really compelling insights here. Elon Musk alluding to the fact that Tesla is on the road to developing artificial general intelligence. Some incredible praise from an industry titan, Bob Lutz, who now acknowledges that Tesla have blown him away. Insights into why nobody can catch Tesla or SpaceX, and why Elon continues to Elon. Hope you guys and girls have enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below, what were your favorite insights or quotes from Elon Musk? Catch you guys in the next video. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.